Hello, I've got a solar electricity system, a PV system that I fitted 3 years ago to my house, and it's done very well. I've been pleased with it, but I've just done quite an upgrade to it, which I think will be of interest to anyone that's into DIY solar or just wants to look at a way of improving a system if it was fitted a few years ago. What I've done is I've moved absolutely everything, the inverter, the batteries and all the bits and bobs out of my attic where it was originally fitted, and I put it all into my garage here, using some armoured underground cables to connect everything up, both the supply side and the panels back to their original position in the house. But by moving it all out here, I've removed it entirely from the house, eliminated any fire risks that the equipment might cause, because I've always been worried about that. I've also put it in a cooler space. The inverter was in my attic before and used to run very hot. And I've freed up some space in my attic as well. So I'm very pleased with what I've done. I'll show you in detail exactly how I approached the job and the kit that I've used. Starting here on my roof, behind me here I've got 5 kilowatts of solar PV panels that I fitted over a period of a couple of summers. It's quite a job. These panels are arranged in 2 strings, 2 sets basically. You tend to split a large array like this up into groups called strings. It makes the voltages a bit easier. And the wires from the panels, they were originally routed in various places, sort of around where the tiles met the chimney. I found a safe place I could route them in through, and a couple more went in under the eaves, and again it's quite complex getting them all inside the attic in a safe manner so that they're not going to chafe against the tiles and all that kind of stuff. But I did it all, and I did end up with quite a bit of spaghetti in the attic, because my attic, like a lot of old attics, it's sort of split up into different areas, and there's junk stored up there, and there's piles of insulation. So the cabling went sort of looped along and inside conduit and round the back of the chimney and up and down and sideways. And it all ended up in a little cupboard where I mounted the inverter and close to the inverter the batteries. You can't have inverters a very long distance from the batteries. It's DC, low voltage, for various technical reasons. They've got to be close together. Anyway, it all assembled in there. And started ticking away, and it's been a good system, like I said, but it wasn't that easy having the thing in the attic. The first thing I noticed is the inverter started to get very hot. They kick out quite a bit of heat. Now the attic's hot anyway, and I actually have a little home office at the other end of the attic, and I know it was nice in the winter. help heat the place, but I noticed that the heat was just building up in the attic, and I thought this piece of electronics isn't really designed to be run at such high temperature for so long. And I was also a little bit worried about the batteries getting hot. They don't get hot when they're running, but you know they like to have a nice stable temperature. And it was all, you know, slightly makeshift, shall we say. So I planned this move over a period of time, and starting again, as I said, from this end, because all the gubbins inside the attic is gone. The cables now run entirely outside. I'll take the camera around and show you the runs. So it's as close as I can get to the panels without clambering on the sloping roof. But you can probably see that there's cables coming out. They're tied to the struts, and then it exits from this panel set here. There's another set of cables coming in from the other string, and these now join together on the outside. You can see I just clipped them in and clipped the existing supply cable. I wanted everything to be external. After the complications in the attic, I wanted it to run outside. I'll run down below now and we'll pick this up from the other side. So coming down from the roof, the 4 PV cables go into a pair of conduit, just guided down the outside of the building here, down the side and underneath the exterior of my porch. It's a timber built building here, so I was able to tuck in quite nicely under the bottom panel there. And I've just got an exterior bit of the building here that actually pops through this sticky out bit. The panel I've just removed here, and you see the 4 solar cables there go via 4 MC4 standard solar connectors into a standard armoured underground cable, 4 strands, and that goes into a trench under the patio into the distance. And here we are at the other end of the trench, the garage trench. I've filled most of it in. There's just a few feet left exposed. My wife was having problems getting to the laundry, so I had to backfill it before I could do this filming. But it just wiggles around my garden in a fairly complicated way, as you would do with a small garden under a bit of patio, round the vegetable beds. It was a bit of fun. Anyway, trenches are trenches. So what's in the trench? Well, I've got 3 different cables in there. I'll go through them one at a time. Cable 1 carries the supply from the solar panels, the leads I showed you that were coming down off the roof. There's 4 wires in total, 2 from each string, each set of panels. So I needed a 4-core cable. This is 4mm armoured cable. It's got to be armoured, no substitute for it. It's coupled up using standard solar panel connectors at the other end. I'll show you the garage end when we go inside in a minute. So that's your solar feed. The other cable which I fitted, I had to beef up this supply cable for the garage. It was running off a 2.5mm, nice cable, armoured cable, but not enough to carry the kind of currents that the inverter will send back through it. So I've had to beef up the supply cable itself. And I've gone for 3-core 6mm armoured cable. This will cope with anything, basically. It's a decent sized cable. And this is connected not in the way that the solar cable connected at the other end, but this has gone into the connection point for the garage feed, just in another part of the house there. But it's all panelled back in again, so I can't show that to you. But imagine cables connected up to connectors, and that's what we got there. Standard power supply, basically, is what it is now. Just capable of running in 2 directions and a bit more beefed up. The third one I put in there, you can perhaps see a slimmer cable in the bottom of the trench. That's an armoured network cable, a standard computer networking cable. I've actually taken the inverter, which it likes to run off Wi-Fi. It doesn't have to, it works fine standalone, but I get a lot of nice stats and things if it can talk to Wi-Fi. Well, I'm out of Wi-Fi range. So although I'm not going to use it straight away, I've buried in an armoured Cat6 network cable. It's just looped in behind the panels at either end, so that if and when I want to connect the inverter back up to stats again, I can use that cable. So that's just a bit of future proofing. When you dig a trench, always put in things that you might want in the future, even if you don't need them straight away, because trenching is quite a lot of work. Anyway, this will be backfilled in a minute, but we'll now go inside and have a look at the garage bit. Okay, and here's the setup. Forgive the canoe in the way, it's too much trouble to take it down. Anyway, the 3 cables come in, it's behind this panel again, just visualise standard connections. I like to have things tucked away as much as possible. The 4 wires from the solar PV, they emerge into the back of these 2 isolators, 1 isolator per string, double pole isolators. And these go, again, straight into conduit, into the inverter at the appropriate points. So this enables you to isolate the 2 strings if you needed to. On the inverter side, it's mounted, as you can see, straight onto the wall. There's a little metal plate behind it. It does knock out quite a bit of heat. It's a safe location for it. There's plenty of airspace all around. But just to stop burn marks on the wall if it were to create any. So that's quite solidly mounted. What else have we got? From the inverter down to the batteries, we've got a battery isolator, the very thick cables down to the batteries, concrete floor in the garage, lovely. I've just stood the batteries up on blocks in case there was ever any water spillage or anything else like that. But they've gone in there, boom, quite nicely. I've got a slightly too short earth lead. I'm going to get a longer one so that I can tie these cables back a little bit. So they just plug in like that. This is the control cable. Again, just enables the inverter to talk to the batteries. It plugs in either end. And how does the inverter itself go into the rest of the supply? Well, up there's the garage consumer unit. As you can see, I've got the outlet from the inverter through another AC isolator this time, another rotary switch. You can just shut off all the solar from this end into the consumer unit, and that goes in. It's a standard enough setup. It's the RCBO at the end. Of note, that is a two-way RCBO. It's bidirectional, they're known as. So I've had to buy a new one to put in there. Obviously, you've got electricity flowing in both directions. So standard one, single directional one, wouldn't do. And that's basically it for the electrics. It's quite a conventional setup. It's what I had in my house. But backwired into the garage consumer unit, beefed up supply cable, boom, I'm now feeding back to the house. At no point do any of these wires, cables, batteries or inverters impact the inside of the house. So I've eliminated all the clutter and stuff that maybe my wife didn't like or that she never said. I quite like to look at things like this actually. I show visitors as well, but anyway, she didn't. I've eliminated a potential source of fire risk. One thing I didn't mention, but it's worth pointing out, subsequent to my fitting of all this lot in my attic, the regulations were changed so that you couldn't put batteries upstairs anymore. Although obviously there's a lot of legacy systems like mine. But also there's become more knowledge and more cases of battery fires, which again is another sound reason to move it out into an outbuilding. I'd be very upset if my garage burnt down, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, and it also would solve an argument with the insurance company and so on and so on and so on. So for multiple reasons, it's just a better place to have an inverter and a setup like this. Question, is it working? Because obviously I've gone quite a lot further away. There's two things I was concerned about, and I'll show you the pickup side of it in a minute. The first one was the pickup for the inverter. There's a little coil, see there's this cable here, which routes back. Now that actually connects to the old underground cable. I mentioned there was a 2.5mm cable which is now redundant. It used to be the supply for the garage. Well, I've just connected, and it's the pickup coil. It enables the inverter to read what's going on with regard to the house supply. It's just a little coil, little gizmo. It goes over the supply where it enters the house consumer unit. It carries no current. It's just a tiny little thing, but it's got to be connected up. And they are not recommended. The manufacturers don't recommend they're more than 10 meters between inverter and entry point. Well, I'm about 24 now. So that was all a bit uncertain, but I did do some research on the internet before I did all this, and I found electricians saying, yeah, I've gone up to 25 without too many problems. So anyway, that is connected up via this cable just to the pickup point here, into, using standard electrical connections, into the old 2.5mm cable. And I'll show you in a minute where that goes into the consumer unit and how I've connected to the, where it goes into the electric box and how I've connected up on the outside. So again, there's nothing happening in the house. The other thing I was concerned about, and I've got an ongoing issue with this that I'm still sorting out, is a potential voltage drop on the DC side. When you are sending direct current, as you get from solar panels over quite long distances, the resistance of the wires does start to have an effect. And I've dropped, I measured it with my multimeter, I've dropped 2 volts on one string and I've dropped 5 volts on the other. That's the one that's at the further end of the house. Because the inverter used to be between the 2 strings, but now it's a bit lopsided. I am having a few problems with the further set of strings. There should still be enough to fire the inverter, but they're dropping in and out at the moment. I'm not sure whether I got a duff connection or whether I've just gone a bit too far. But the nearest strings are working fine, so it's probable that I've just not got a connection right, and I'll go through all those and fix them. But it's just something to point out. I am using 4mm cable. I could have gone to 6, which can help you get around some of these voltage drop issues. A thicker cable, less resistance, more volts to play with. But I'll keep playing and tweaking, and I don't think that's going to be a showstopper at this moment in time. But I just thought I'd point that out. When measuring your distances and doing your cable sizing, you need to bear all that in mind. Anyway, apart from this slight voltage issue on one string, it's all up and ticking quite well. I've got my inverter, it's powering up, good stats, and it's backfeeding everything exactly as it did in the attic. So it's been a thoroughly good move. We'll go now and just look at the last bit of the system, which is where the pickup coil connects into the old electric box. Okay, so returning to this point, the pickup coil actually comes in with slightly complicated connections, but accept the fact that it's connected up through one of these conduit pipes. I split it off here, and here's my electric box. Again, you'd normally see one of these fitted on a system that's inside the house, somewhere near the consumer unit. It just has to go on one of the incoming wires. Well, they're all here in the old electric box. So there it is. Here's the cable, and that's the pickup coil just connected up. It's working fine. The inverter seems to be coping with it. So it's worked, and like I said, everything is outside. It's worked out quite well. So in summary then, if you move an inverter that's inside your house, inverter and battery setup, into an outbuilding using armoured underground cables, you've got several advantages, one of which you're keeping up with the latest regulations, because like I said, you can't fit batteries into confined inside spaces anymore. Secondly, you're solving any possible insurance problems that might result because of that. Thirdly, it's all this gubbins, though I love the look of it, it is actually tidy if it's not inside your house. Fourthly, you've prevented any overheating problems that do arise when you've got these things in a cupboard or an attic space or something like that. And there is a fifthly as well for me, which I haven't really mentioned, but I've got a flat roof garage here and some spare capacity on this. And this has actually given me the possibility of adding even more solar panels to my system and really powering up. So that's a fifthly for me, might not be for you. Anyway, that's it. The cost of the system, or the cost of the upgrade to the system, was about £240. In principle, that was the cost of 2 very fine armoured cables and a few bits and bobs to connect things up. So cost-wise, it was well worth doing. Oh, actually, I bought myself a trenching spade. I've always wanted one of these. So it's another 20 quid. It's narrow. Great. So any of these jobs, excuse to buy toys, isn't it, really? There you go. Thanks for your time.